And this is 3.5, connection-oriented transport, particularly the TCP protocol. So in this particular section, we're definitely going to talk about the RDT implemented in TCP. Now, provided the background, very extensively in 3.4, you should be able to understand TCP's implementation of RDT, TCP's design of RDT. Now, in addition to the RDT in TCP, we are also going to talk about the packet format of TCP. And that is what the segment structure meant here by the textbook authors. And then there are two minor functions, but necessary functions in TCP. One is called the flow control. The other is called the connection management. And this is the overview. TCP we know already. Just like UDP, it's what? End-to-end process-process communication. So end-to-end there can also be referred to as point-to-point communication. We have a sender process and a receiver process. Now, in this connection here, what we're doing is to do reliable and in-order data transmission. Now, what's a little bit unusual when we talk about TCP is this. Instead of earlier, when we were talking about the general principles of RDT, we are counting the data by what? Packets. Packet 0, packet 1, packet 2, packet 3, so on and so forth. But in TCP, we count data all right, but we count the data by the bytes. Byte 0, byte 1, byte 2, and so on and so forth. So that connection here, when we are passing data around, we are actually passing a stream of these bytes. Right? So there's no more message boundaries, or there's no more packet-to-packet separation. Right? And last, this is actually telling you ahead of time that TCP's reliable data transfer is doing this, the pipeline-based RDT, so that we have a window size there, where the size n is definitely larger than 2. And so we could have multiple packets in transit so that the utilization of the connection there can be higher. Okay. Now, what we don't know quite yet is this window size is also used not just for reliable data transfer. Later on in section 3.6 and 3.7, you will also hear it's also for the congestion and flow control. Okay, so there's going to be a window size for flow control, and the window size for RDT is also used, okay, for congestion control. And conveniently, in flow control, what's being done is the receiver will every now and then tell the sender, hey, you might want to slow down or you might want to speed up depending on how much the buffer space is occupied at the receiver side. You see, what happened at the receiver end of the TCP is this. Data will come in continuously from the sender. Data will be extracted and passed up to the application layer process. So there's an incoming rate and there's also an outgoing rate. When the outgoing rate is slow, incoming rate is fast, then you see the buffer space is quickly exhausted. Okay, so at that point, receiver tells the sender, hey guys, slow down. Now, the other way around, if the buffer space is, very empty, then telling the sender, feel free to send more. So, flow control there. Okay, mainly allowing the receiver to tell the sender, hey, slow down or speed up, such that there's no congestion occurring at the receiver side. Because if the incoming rate is high, outgoing rate is slow, over time, when the buffer is exhausted, the incoming data will be what? Will be dropped. Okay, so delay long, and you see also data loss there, right there at the receiver. So this is to avoid also congestion, but it's a bit weird. It's actually to avoid congestion at the receiver side, not quite in the middle of the internet. Okay, so when I say in the middle of the internet, I actually meant congestion in the core of the internet. Sender process, receiver process is what? At the end of the internet, at the edge of the internet. So flow control there is to try to control the end processes such that there's no packet drop at either end. Congestion control, on the other hand, is to control such that there's no packet drop or congestion in the middle, in the core of the internet. And TCP, being connection-oriented transport layer service, is sending some messages in the beginning before data can be transmitted. So there are some handshaking being done right before the data exchange. And these handshaking messages are there to set up the initial states of the sender and receiver. And that is called the connection management part of TCP. Last but not the least, there's a mindset change here in a TCP connection. Data traveling in a TCP connection is now full duplex. What I meant by that is the data flow is going, bidirectional. Okay, so two processes or point-to-point, will be sending data this way as well as this way. Now, why is this a major mindset change? If you recall in 3.4, when we were talking about these reliable data transfer mechanisms, we always say what? This is the sender side of RDT, and this is the receiver side of RDT. What we are saying there implicitly is also, this is data sender side of RDT. This is the data receiver side of the RDT. Data receiver there, receive data. It transmits something as well, but it's transmitting only what? The feedback messages, the ACK messages. The receiver there does not send data. So TCP here you see being more general. Data can go either way. So the two processes will be implementing both the sender and receiver finite state machines. And the last bit is this. MSS, a special term that is referring to this, the maximum segment size. If you recall, a packet at the transport layer is called a segment. So maximum segment size is essentially the maximum packet size. Okay. In reality, in actual TCP implementation, we're still sending data packet by packet. But the sequence number we'll be checking to do reliable data transfer is now counting the bytes of the data, not the packet numbers of the data.